All right, welcome everybody. Today on the show we have David Price, and my name is Justin Von Meighen. I sell life insurance 100% over the phone, final expense, and David Price, he also sells life insurance over the phone, final expense 100%, and we both have teams. We're working on building our agencies, and David, I've known David for a few years. How long have we known each other, Dave? I think 3 years?
About 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years. It's been amazing watching this guy grow. David actually, his fourth year in the business in 2022, he 1099 over $1 million through one single carrier. So it's super, super impressive. It's been amazing watching him grow, and he's got an awesome story. So, Dave, I know from our conversations that it's not always been like, hey, I can buy a new car whenever I want and get a new house, buy property, and have all this success flowing to you. So let's take it back a little bit, and let's get to back to kind of your roots and where you started, how it all started, and what you've been through to kind of maybe give some hope to people out there that are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I grew up my parents were both drug addicts. They got divorced at a very young age. My mother, I lived with my mother who continued to use, eventually did get clean, but I lived in the projects in New Jersey, lived in a single wide trailer with way more people than bedrooms. Living room was my bedroom, lived in hotels, homeless shelters, as a child. So went through a lot of adversity, and, even as an adult, I ended up with a drug problem myself that I had to overcome, sleeping in cars, homeless, been bankrupt. And, been through a lot of different things. And I like to touch on that because it's easy to say, oh, wow, this guy made $1 million last year. Like, he's lucky and that was easy and he knows the right people, or maybe he's always been successful. And I definitely haven't always been successful, but I've always worked in the right direction, and even though it might not have looked at the time, or I might have been failing, and I definitely failed a lot. It was definitely a journey. And it's also been watching you, man, meeting you the first time and watching you grow and develop and all the new things that you're doing, man. I mean, you're definitely a superstar, and somebody, I'm glad that we have the relationship where we talk on a weekly basis and continue to learn from each other.
Yeah, for real, man. I've learned so much from you. That's helped me, and I really appreciate it. And I think it's cool that, we can be in completely different setups and help each other. And anybody watching this, right? Like, Dave is more than open to help anybody and who is looking to make a name for themselves and be successful. So, what kept you going? What was the turning point for you when you're like, yeah, let me try to really make some success for myself? Like, when did that click?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I always wanted to be successful. I just never knew how. Right. And I think the biggest thing that held me back in the beginning was ego. And I always thought I had control. I knew what I was doing. And that's also what kept me in addiction for so long. Right. Even though I used drugs and I was in addiction, I felt like I was in control of my life. I still went to work every day, still woke up every day. I still was, friends with people. I was just okay with it. I was like, some people like to, have a beer after work. I like to do something a little bit harder. And eventually my life came crashing down, and I got into a 12-step program. And at that time, I learned about ego, and I learned about asking for help. And I realized that it's okay to ask for help, and that I didn't know everything. And, I learned a lot of simple, basic principles in recovery. And then I just started practicing them day in and day out. And it's been a journey. July will be 10 years sober, right? God willing. And in the beginning, right, I was staying on people's couches. I remember taking my first job when I was getting clean, or when I got clean, and it was cleaning. I wanted to work offshore. I was in Louisiana. I wanted to work offshore in oil rigs because I heard you could have a really good lifestyle. You can make a lot of money. And somebody said they could get me a job, except for it was cleaning toilets and washing dishes. Obviously, that wasn't my end goal, and that wasn't where I wanted to go. And it was also for minimum wage, which was $7.25 at the time. But I knew it was better than what I was doing, right? Cleaning toilets is better than someone not working. I liked it because I could work a lot of hours, and I didn't have a car. So I go to the port, and I'm on the oil rig for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I make money. I come back and work on getting back out there to make some more money. But the point is, it didn't matter what it was, and it didn't matter where I started. I was always focused on where I was going. And that's where I think a lot of people make the mistake. They're so focused on where they're at right now as opposed to what their opportunity is and where they could go if they just go through that stuff.
Awesome, for sure, man. I mean, we all go through tough things, and he knows I can 100% relate to your recovery because I went through a 12-step program too. I found that a lot of people who are successful in this business, like not all the most successful people I know in the industry, but a lot of them were addicts, alcoholics, or have some pretty traumatic past that they used as like a stepping stone. And I think one thing that helped for me is like I had a bottom that was so low that like nothing I could experience in business really could take me back to that point. So it's kind of like, and I know you've taken a ton of risk financially. So the thing is, guys, David didn't just come in now. He's like making $1 million. Like it took a lot for him to get there. And listening to the amount of money that David invested over time was significant. So like, let's walk the viewer here through what a journey through investing in your own success looks like by investing in your growth and your team and stuff like that. So like what drove you to invest a lot, and like what could someone looking to get to a point of $1 million, what type of investment of their return of their earnings would they be looking at to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing, I was always looking for a business opportunity. So a lot of people come in the insurance industry because they're looking to be insurance agents, and that's fine. But when I looked at this industry, I was like, is this a good platform to build a business in that was going to give me freedom to do what I want, where I want? That was my goal. I was like in my mid-30s. Life was pretty good, but I wasn't building what I wanted to. I wasn't getting to the destination that I wanted to, and I needed to find a new platform that could do that. And this industry looked like it was going to be a really, really good platform. So in the beginning, from day one, every decision I made was a decision a business owner would make. Where what happens is with like an insurance agent, they're so focused on their success as an agent, if they're not having it, they get really discouraged. Where me, when I wasn't having the success as an agent, I realized this is giving me an opportunity to learn so I could teach other people how to get through this. So even when I wasn't winning, I was winning in my head. And I think that's really important. So every decision I made was how to create a business. But the first step was I needed to learn how to sell, right? So it was a learning process for me. Like, yes, I wanted to make some money, obviously, but I was more focused on learning. And I think it's crazy because so many people go to college for 4 years. They'll spend all kinds of money, all kinds of time, and they're okay with that. They have no issue. But the minute someone comes to this business, if they're not making six figures day one, they're discouraged, right? Even though they're brand new, and they should really focus on learning and learning how to help people. You know, I always say when your ability to help people increases, your income will also increase with it. So first goal is to learn how to sell insurance, right? Once I learned how to sell insurance, then you start hiring agents, you start teaching agents how to sell insurance. And then once you get really good at that, you want to figure out how to find more agents, you know, and just like any other company, right? Walmart, Amazon, Tesla, any other large company, they spend a lot of money looking for talent, right? They do it through job postings. Sure. Just different ways, right? So that's what I did. I started setting up job postings and started hiring recruiters and every single thing a regular company would do to hire people. And a lot of times people look at this industry and they say, oh, you got to recruit, you got to recruit, you got to recruit. And again, to me, they're thinking like agents. They're not thinking like business owners. Like name a large company that hasn't had to hire at a high level to have growth, right? If I want to be a company, I want to have 100% growth every year. What do I have to do? How many people do I have to hire, right? You know, if Amazon's like, hey, we need 100% growth this year, how many millions of dollars do you think they're going to spend to make that happen? It's true. So, you know, my first 1099 was May. I started in May. My first 1099 was $30,000, and that was what I call the learning years. And also getting my mindset right, you know, because this could be a hard mental business, and I started looking at different things and wondering if I picked the right thing, and then all of a sudden, I realized I'm like 6 months in. I can't even say I tried at this point because it's only been 6 months. So what I did is I put my blinders on. I worked on my mindset every single morning, got pumped up before I left my house. I was a field agent at the time and just really, really like got my mind right. My first full year, I made over $200,000, right? And you know, I stayed living really humbly, right? You know, $200,000 is a great living. It was a great living for me at the time, but I lived in a small little 2-bedroom apartment. I had no TV in my living room. I only had a futon in my living room. The other bedroom just had a desk that we got off Facebook Marketplace to work at. And our bedroom, I think, just had a mattress on the floor. I don't think I had any bedroom furniture, right? Making $20,000 a month. And that's how I lived, because I was taking the rest of that money and I was putting it back into my business. Because a lot of people, they start making some money and they start buying these nice things, but they have to look at what their end goal is, right? And my end goal was to passively make over $1 million a year. Right. So if I'm spending my money on these things that aren't putting it into my business, I'm not getting to my end goal. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk says it the best. Like, his end goal is to own the jets. Right. So why would he buy a Lamborghini when he could take that money and put that back into his business to get to where his goal is? So the majority of my money I made my first year, I want to put back into my business, which, because of that, my income doubled again the following year. You know, the following year I made over $500,000, which actually more than doubled my income. And again, put a majority of that back into my business. The following year I made over $700,000. And then this year, or 2022 that just passed, I made well over $1 million. So basically, every dollar I put in my business, I got $2 back. As a matter of fact, I got a really good stat. So I spent $500,000 last year in my business, and everyone would be like, that's crazy. I don't want to invest $500,000 in my business. But I made over $1 million. So literally every dollar I put in, I got at least $2
Insane.
back.
Bro, that's awesome. That's like, it's so inspirational for me, because I'm in a position of growth here where, like, I'm like, okay, do I save money to buy something else? But like, I've yet to find something that's going to give me that return. Like, I know insurance. So it's like, you know, now, you know, you say you're getting into some other things, but like, it's like, I know insurance. So for me, and I'm always like I'm always like kick myself in the butt. Like, bro, what are you doing saving money for something else? Like, you got like some money sitting in there, spend it on insurance, because that's like, it's a guaranteed return for me. Like, and for anybody watching this, like, you got to grow. And I was never personally, I'm good at sales, but I was never like the top producer. Like, I was never like the number one. Were you ever the number one producer?
No, not at all. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I just produced enough to learn. You know, I remember we were having a contest, and my manager at the time, whoever won was going to get a private jet ride into the Bahamas. And I was a producer at the time, but I was also building, and I had some agents. And I remember my manager looked at me, and he's like, man, are you excited? You're going to try to win that contest? I was like, what? I was like, no, I'm trying to buy a plane. Yeah. Right? You can't buy a plane winning that contest. You get a ride on the plane. I want to buy a plane. So my focus was, again, on building. So I produced when I had to produce until my team offset that income, and then it was time to really spend time on building. But yeah, so like, you know, you talk about other investments, and I've looked at everything, and you know, let's say you do an investment in real estate and you get a 20% return on your money. That's absolutely amazing, right? That's really good for real estate. I just told you I spent $500,000 last year and got back $1 million, right? So I got 200% on my money. You know, like, there's no other place to invest your money. Even my accountant told me, I was asking him about different investments. He's like, Dave, it looks like the best place to invest your money is in your own business that you actually control.
Sometimes
right?
it's cool having someone tell you
that. Stock that you have no control over. You know, the CEO goes out and does something at a strip club, and the stock, you know, and the people hear about it, the stock dips just because of that. You know, you control your own business, and you control, you know, what happens with it.
That's huge, man. That's huge. So, and you bring up a good point. I mean, I'm taking notes here, looking down. It's not like I'm texting or anything. So, like, spend a lot of money looking for talent. All right, like it's like you know, hire in excess. So for anybody here looking to make $1 million, like, I want to make $1 million, right? I want to be in a position where I'm making as much as David, and I think that it takes that investment, guys. So like, if you're watching this and you're not even selling insurance yet, and you're like, oh man, my insurance license is going to cost me a couple $100, like, you gotta change that thinking, because that, like, it would have cost David more money to just have that money in his account sitting there hanging out than it would have right, because he would have lost $500,000 doing that. So stop thinking of things as expense, guys, and start thinking it as an investment. And you don't, to grow a business in this industry, you don't have to be the top salesperson. I've found sometimes the top producers don't make the best business people. And that's just is what it is, right? A lot of top producers I know they're a little cuckoo, and I'm cuckoo too, but, you know, kind of where it's like a volatility thing where it's like, okay, whoa, maybe like the mind isn't all, you know, so you don't have to be the best. Now, I'm not saying if you're a top producer, then you're not going to be a good business owner, but I'm saying, like, you know, you don't have to be to grow and build that. And what stuck out was you produced enough to learn. So how many agents do you have now?
I have about over 200 agents that produce every single month.
Wow.
So we got a good team. We got a really good culture. You know, we're growing every month by at least 100 new agents. My record is close to 200 agents in a month.
Wow.
So, you know, unfortunately, right, you have to hire a lot of people just to find a few that want to commit.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest issue. I don't think it's just this industry. I think just people don't commit in general. They think that they have to do multiple things, and they have an issue just committing on one thing long enough to see the success. And I wish I knew the answer to that, because if I knew the answer to that, I would have made $10 million last year.
Well, you know the answer. Just hire more people.
Yes.
You know, I remember one day.
That's good advice you have there.
One day you told me, I remember this a few years ago, you said that someone at one point told you that, like, any problem that you have in insurance in your business can be solved by just hiring more people. And that has yet to fail for me personally.
Yeah, exactly. And they look at, like, I mean, there's like a little battle between Bezos and Elon Musk with their rocket ship companies, right? They're just constantly trying to hire talent from each other, because the organization isn't you, it's your people, right? So, like, why would you hire a lot of people? Because I'm trying to find good people, you know, and the more people I bring in, the better chance I have of finding those good people. So, I mean, once I figure out how to hire 1,000 people a month, I'll be hiring 1,000 people a month. And that's going to give me a better opportunity to find some really good people, like-minded people that are really committed to doing what it takes to change their lives, help some people, and continue to grow from there.
100%. That's huge, man. Now, one thing I like about, like, we're not a single carrier system, but we're captive, so everything's like through the agency. And when I have people join in the business, and I'll have people from YouTube reach out to me for advice and stuff, and like I truly think all the people that I've seen make the most money the fastest are either in a captive system or a single carrier system, and they're just like with one company. So maybe if you want to cover like the pros and maybe even some of the cons, you'd say, of having a single carrier system that you go through, because David's just with Senior Life Insurance Company. That's it. Right, that's his company that he reps, TPG, the Price Group, and you know, that's that. So let's talk with them here, because a lot of people come in the business, they're like, I want to sell 10 types of insurance with 10 carriers and do all this, and I want to help my clients the best. But you're in business too, so you got to help yourself. So I'll stop talking. You go over that now.
Yeah, I mean, we issued over 10,000 policies last year, so I believe we helped some clients, right, with one carrier.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the mindset change. You know, the one thing that I like about a captive system or a one carrier system, you know, we're technically independent, but, you know, most of my people only use one carrier, is I look at it the way a MacBook, right? They say a MacBook works really well because the software and the hardware was actually designed to work together, right? Where, like, you know, if you buy a Hewlett-Packard computer, like, Microsoft is compatible, right? Windows is compatible to it, but those two things weren't actually designed, you know, to completely work together. Yeah. So that's why I look at it like a captive system. Like a captive system, you have one person controlling every part of that system. So they're able to design that system to work really, really, really well together. Where if you live in the broker world, it's like, all right, cool. So we're going to use a couple of these carriers over here. You know, we'll see if you try to find these lead vendors. Here's some people that worked in the past. And what they're doing is they're just piecing together these things, and it just might not work as smooth, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that why you see, you know, and it's amazing because people think the opposite, but I agree. The people I know making a lot of money in this business work either with one carrier or they're in a captive system. And I think, it's just because that system's built to work together. You know, because if everything's built to work together, where the lead costs versus the commission, you know, versus, you know, the product you're selling, and they're all in line to work to set you up for success. That's all that really matters. So, you know, some of the pros are simplicity, right? You know what to do. I believe when you're in a captive system, you get more training, you get some more oversight. A big thing that's super important, I don't care where you're working, is leads. I know the reason, a big thing with you guys is you guys, really focus on making sure there's people to call. And I look at leads like it's the demand. So when I was looking at the insurance, I wasn't even looking at the insurance business. The carrier I use, Senior Life Insurance Company, somebody just brought that to my attention, like, hey, this is a really good business platform. So the first thing I looked at was the leads. What is the demand? You guys are selling a product that's really cool, and like the product looks really cool, but do you have people that actually want that product? See, before insurance, I used to do disaster work. And the reason I did disaster work was when a hurricane came in, there was so much work, there's such a demand that the local people couldn't handle it. So if you're a hard worker, it was really easy to make money. So when I started looking at other business opportunities, the first thing I looked at, is there a demand for this product? Because you could have the best product in the world at the best price, but if you don't have the demand, well, now you got to figure out, are you a marketer, right? Or are you a salesperson? So again, that's something that I think is really strong for our system and your system as well, is we already have the demand for you. Right now, we just need to teach you how to sell, right? Which is the easy part, and you only have to focus on that one thing.
Yeah, I think, and what I've noticed too, even with us, we have like 4 carriers, well 5, but I don't like one of them. So, and one of them is guaranteed issue. So technically, it's like 3, right? Because guaranteed issue is like, it's like the weight, the trash basket, But I found that the fewer carriers, the easier it makes for underwriting too. So if any of you guys are on here, look, like, there's plenty of people who are watching this who are like, I want to, I just want to be an agent. I want to sell insurance. Totally cool. I don't mean just want to be an agent. Like, I don't want to build a huge business out of this, and that's okay. But for you people watching this who want to build a business out of this, scalability is huge. So when I started, like, I didn't realize how kind of quickly I picked some of this stuff up. So I was able to underwrite and figure out which of my 10 carriers the client best qualify for. But when you have one carrier, it's super simple, because like you just, hey, how do I figure out what they qualify for? Well, read them the application, right? When you sell 10 carriers, what are you going to read them 10 applications? No, you got to use cheat sheets. You got to put the group chat. You got to do all this stuff. Whereas one application, it's like, just read it. Just read it. It almost makes it like dummy proof kind of. I don't mean dummy proof, but it just makes it easier, and everyone's on the same page, like you said, and kind of everything aligns. So like, if you were to restart, sorry, my dog's being like super annoying. If you were to restart tomorrow, say tomorrow was like day 1, and you had to go through like a test, right? You know how like Cardone did that undercover billionaire thing? Say you had to go be undercover insurance agent. Well, what would you do tomorrow?
I wouldn't do anything too different. The biggest difference is I was a field agent, and I told all my agents to sell in the field. I told them, take the lead, go to the house, don't ever make a call. And it wasn't until COVID happened, and I never thought they would lock us down or everything that happened was going to happen. But I was watching the news. I was like, man, these people are getting scared. This is scary. People aren't going to want us in their house. And my agents got to eat. So I made the decision overnight, and I called up on my agent and said, hey, guess what? You're a telesales agent now. I know I told you never to pick the phone up now. Now you're not allowed to leave your house. And overnight, we switched to a telesales organization. And the month of April, which I think was a really bad month in this industry for a lot of people because they didn't know what to do, we actually had our best month 100% on the phone as a bunch of field agents. So it opened up my eyes. I was like, man, again, just learning experience. I've been wrong the whole time. So if I did it all over again, I would never teach anyone to work in the field. I would teach everyone to work on the phone for a couple of reasons. 1, it's more duplicatable. 2, we could be working just like this on a Zoom or on a meeting, so I could help you and coach you throughout the way. We have a virtual call center, so we have some of the top agents in the country on Zoom helping you, and you get to listen to them. You got the accountability, right? If you're a field agent, do I really know you went to work? Now I can see if you went to work or not. But the biggest one is the lifestyle. I don't know I don't remember if you sold in the field or not, Justin.
I did, yeah.
Dude, it was tough, right?
It's rough, dude.
It's tough, man. Driving all around all day. We were door knocker. I was a door knocker, so I was at the first house at 9 o'clock. I literally knocked on doors until it got dark. And usually the last door I knocked in, they always let me in. So like I'm heading back to my house at like 10 o'clock at night on a 2-hour drive. and making sure I'm at the first house at 9 o'clock the following day. I mean, I was putting in a lot of time, a lot of efforts, and now my telesales agents, man, they're like got banker hours. You know, they're like 5 o'clock. They're like leaving. I'm like, what are you leaving for? Come on, you got people to help. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you make $1,000 a phone call. Like, are you really gonna go sit on the couch? I'm like, if you do sit on the couch, it's cost you $1,000 to sit on that couch an hour. I just want you to know that. So if you're willing to pay that, then pay it. But if not, man, come on, take advantage of this opportunity while it's hot.
Yeah, it's funny. The guy who owns our agency, Rory, he has a joke that telesales agents take Fridays off. You know, it's like his thing, because he was like, he sold in the field for 30 years or more. You know, so he's like, man, you know, and I think honestly, what helped and this is always I don't know, I'm always confused about this, but like I think I did better in telesales because I did some face-to-face presentations and then started on the phone. After, because like I knew the apps and I knew the system and like how to talk to these people and everything. So do you think that helped the transition for your people who were like, have you noticed like they handled it better than someone just coming kind of brand new to telesales, like that adjustment? You think it's easier to be successful in the field and then transition, or just go right into telesales? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think you know, it's funny you say that, because people still to this day say you shouldn't sell on the phone and you can't sell on the phone, and it's different. That's what they say, right? They say it's different, and obviously we proved it wasn't different because I didn't have any training, right? I was Googling some things and trying to give them the best I can. But at the end of the day, if you're successful selling in the field, selling on the phone is no different, right? Because they want the product, right? It should be lead driven, I'm assuming, right? So someone hit an advertisement, they have a need, or they wouldn't hit the advertisement. You already know about the product. You already know what you're doing. So now you're just doing it on the phone versus in the field. And it's just about being comfortable, right? You know, when you're sitting in someone's, you know, kitchen table and you're talking to them and you're comfortable there, you just have to be comfortable on the phone. And if you're not, the only thing that's going to change that is repetition. So
True.
Somebody that's just getting started selling on the phone, I think they're going through the same stuff that somebody in the field's going through.
Yeah.
You know, that's just getting started. But I don't. Again, it's not what I think. I know they're not much different. You know, if it's different, it's because you think it's different. You know, not you personally, but the agent. If the agent thinks it's different, it's because they think it's different, right? Because I've seen people brand new just get their license and just smash the phones. Like just you know, I had an agent I'm thinking right now. She made over $100,000 last year. She was waiting tables part of the year, and I'm like. I was like, dude, what are you, out of your mind? Like, I sent her a text message because I just saw she had a $1,200 commission on one policy. I was like, hey, I need you to give me a favor. Could you pull out the calculator and tell me how many tables you need to wait to make that $1,200 real fast? And she quit her job that day, but like she couldn't figure it out. Like she couldn't realize. Like she thought waiting tables was a safe bet, and like you said, she was losing money by. I always tell people when they have like a job like that, they're doing volunteer work. I'm like, all right, cool, keep doing volunteer work for the restaurant. You know, if that's what you want to do, you know, that's really nice. And everything, right?
Oh my God, I'm going to use that. That's
what I call these little side jobs. You know, if they're struggling and they don't have what it takes, and they're still going through the learning process, like I understand it. But this person was able to run a policy every single day with her eyes closed. You know, so if she's doing anything that's not paying her $500, $1,000 an hour, dude, she's doing volunteer work. You know, and that's really nice of her.
I got someone on the team right now who it's literally the same thing. Super nice person, really young, and asked me the other day, like, hey, dude, like if I wrote like. I mean, the dude's done 10,000 AP a week a couple times, you know, and he has this other little job, and he's like, dude, if I did like 2,500 AP a day, you think I'd do well? I'm like, yes, dude. Like, have you seen your checks? You know, when you do well, I'm like, I'm gonna use that though. And then the other day, yesterday, he called me. He's like, should I put in my 2 weeks? I'm like, bro, yes, yes. I'm like, so should I just not show up? I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm like, put your 2 weeks in. I'm like, put it in, and then do that. But yeah, that's.
Put your 2 weeks in and hope they let you go right there.
Yeah.
That's what usually happens. It's so funny. And I'm the same way. Like, you know, never screw someone over, never burn a bridge, always do the right thing. But like almost every single agent of mine that put their 2 weeks in, they let them go right there.
Yeah, well, it was funny because he's doing like food delivery for a restaurant. He's like, I don't even think they want me. I think they just want my car. I'm like, yeah, that's like what's happening. But cool, man. Thank you. So for anyone For anyone new to the business, what would be if they want to make 2023? Say if they let's do experience season, because most people watch this. They've been in the business for a little bit. 2022 is probably their first year. What would you recommend you do? And what do you recommend to your people coming into the business that you recommend anyone watching this to do to make this a huge year for themselves?
I mean, the biggest thing is if you want different results, you have to be a different person, right? So you got, like for me, I'm trying to figure out, okay, cool. I made $1 million last year. That's awesome. I would like to double that again and make over $2 million this year. So I already know to make $2 million this year, I have to do different things than I did last year, right? I got to increase my recruiting budget. I need to seek new information. I got to figure out how to get more pecans in the basket, get more work done. So if you're an agent, you're not having the success you want, right? First, you have to realize like you're the variable, and that's a big one. If you're in a system and there's people having success in that system, then you're the variable, right? So you want to find out what it is that they're doing. Like even me, when I first started, I almost quit at 6 months in. I literally almost quit, one of the fastest millionaires in the industry, and I almost quit 6 months in. And then I finally realized, dude, I'm the variable here. There's people having success. There's something I'm not doing. There's something that I'm missing, and that's what I need to fix. Not the leads, not the clients, not the product, not anything else. I need to fix something about myself. And I think that's the biggest thing. So if you want change for 2023, you got to figure out how you're going to change internally. And that's whether you're having success or not having success, right? That's going to be for everyone. So I think that's super important.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, different actions. You just got to take different actions. And I know from watching this, there's different actions or from going through this with you, there's different actions that I'm going to take. So what do you, What are your goals for TPG in 2023, and what are you going to do to achieve them? So to double production, what would your goals be?
Yeah, right now what I'm really focused on is increasing my leadership team and feeding them and getting them to the next level, because I like exponential growth, right? I can only deal with so many agents, right? So basically empowering my leadership team and really teaching them to duplicate what I did. And that's where I'm going to be putting a lot of focus in this year. Also going to have more trainings on that, and more trainings on leadership development, more trainings on how to manage agents, how to help agents be successful. We actually just brought on a new onboarding system that we're at the beta phase right now. I think that's going to help. It's going to help managers know what to do and help them manage agents, and help newer agents, just have a little bit more clear, defined path on what they have to do to write their first policy and to become managers. So I think more accountability, be available to more people, touch more people through Zoom meetings and stuff like that. That's where I'm going. Also going to work on finding another recruiting source. We've been doing a lot of licensed agent hiring. I built my business mostly with unlicensed agents, so I want to build another separate funnel to get more unlicensed agents and create more agents this year.
Cool, man. I love that. I mean, that's I think the scale to grow. And there was a point for me. It was I could only do so much myself, right? So where you said invest in your leaders, that's where I am now. It's I have to build up my leadership team to get them to where I am. What can I do to get people to where I am now? To help get me that freedom, because I think that's really where the freedom comes in the business, when you can duplicate yourself and you've kind of replaced yourself to where someone's doing it. And people making the most money. Also, too, guys, I think this is important. Typically the people that I see that make the most money have the smallest override, right? The spread is the least. So as you're growing and scaling your business, guys, don't be afraid to pay people to give them a good override to help that, to have them grow, because it just ends up helping you in the long. Yeah, first you're going to take a little haircut financially. Yeah, you might, but it goes long run once you build up your leaders and help them making money. Because if you can help someone make more money than they've ever made in their life, they're usually going to be pretty loyal to you. Sometimes you get people jump ship, but here's what it is. Happens. So cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a spot where I had to do that same thing, and I did take a pay cut. But I compare it like a fire. When you got a fire going and you put all the the dried
yeah.
leaves on it, and it smothers the fire out for a second, and then it starts smoking, and then all of a sudden the fire comes back raging, and that's happened in my business a few times, right? Because I restructured for growth, and I think a lot of people, they get so caught up, they just want to run their agents to death, right? They just get their agents to produce, because that's what's going to give me the short-term cash, right? But when you start developing them, you're going to take a hit on the short-term cash, but then you're going to grow exponentially, and that's when the fire starts blazing. And I've done that a couple times in my business, and probably getting ready to revamp and do it again.
Awesome. Love that, man. Well, anything else you want to leave to the audience here before we wrap it up?
No. I mean, it's been awesome, man. You got an amazing YouTube channel, so super pumped. I made the cut to get on it, man. Definitely appreciate all the conversations we have, and and all the I've learned a lot from you. So I definitely appreciate all the help and the relationship that we have.
For sure, man.
And how we can stay friends even though we work for different companies, but close to the same name.
Yeah, right. How does someone get in touch with you if they want to work with you, Dave, or learn from you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, David Price Official. My YouTube channel is David Price Official. Facebook, David Price Official. And my website, tpglife.com. And those are, between that, you should be able to find me or someone from my team. And if you have any questions, I'm always willing to help agents.
Cool. All right, man. Hey, thanks, David. Appreciate it, dude. And hey, anybody watching this, you're going to want to check the next video that we have coming up here, because this person is also crushing it in the business. This is a top producer. You're going to want to check this out.